Hello and welcome to Empire of War Games. My name is ePledge and today we'll be taking a look at the Space Marine starter boxes. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing, as well as checking the links down in the description below. Alright, a few notes before we get into the meat of the video. Whenever I start talking about a new Combat Patrol box or start collecting, you'll find a link to that video I made talking about that specific box in full length on the top right of the video. I'd appreciate you checking them out if you haven't had the chance yet. Furthermore, I will consider the Recruit, Elite and Command starter boxes, but I won't include them in the rankings itself, as they are very different and require you sharing the box with someone else to have full access to the savings and to the potential of the boxes. Alright, with all of that said, let's go over the different bundles for Space Marines and shine some light on which ones I would recommend and which ones I'd rate lower. In the end, they all save you money, so yeah, depending on your current situation, collectings and finances, you might prefer different boxes to what I am going to explain and recommend here. Just drop your opinion in the comments and be civil about it. Also, I will not consider upgrade sprues too much when it comes to the savings, as I don't want to make this a chapter dependent video. If your chapter of choice happens to have a good Combat Patrol box, good. If not, that shouldn't be a problem either. Let's start in order of release and go over the Vanguard start collecting first. This one is probably the cheapest and easiest way to get to over 500 points of Space Marines straight up. By easiest, I mean just picking up one box at the store and having a playable and legal 500 point Space Marines force. The savings here are pretty good at 50% or close to it, and it's only surpassed by the Recruit or Elite Edition starter boxes if you split them with a friend. Those 3 points make this box worthwhile. The only real downsides are the fact that every single model is monopose, unless you saw off their limbs and do some conversion surgery, which I'm just bad at, and the fact that the box has a very distinct Phobos theme, and you have to really like the stealthy kind of Vanguard-y type of Space Marines. It's certainly interesting, but not the easiest list to pilot for beginners as well. It's rather difficult to figure out when to attack with that list. I played it multiple times in Combat Patrol games, and it's actually not as easy to pilot as it looks. It's very surprising. I will put this box right in the middle and it'll probably end up at 3rd place by the end of the video, but I'm not 100% sure yet. Next up is the Deathwatch Combat Patrol box, one of the first Combat Patrols released alongside the Space Wolves one. I personally really like this box purely because of its composition. Out of the box, this is probably the best Combat Patrol to pilot out of all of them. But the savings are abysmal. At 20% without the upgrade sprues, it's extremely low, even for GW standards. But the models inside are generally played a lot, except for aggressors, which have fallen off a bit. The Apothecary is still one of the best units in the Space Marine Codex, and intercessors will always find a place somewhere in a list. Generally speaking, it's not a bad Combat Patrol box, but the savings really keep this one from being A tier here. If you plan on playing Deathwatch though, this is a great start. But there are better options for new players with different chapters, while existing veterans may already have more than enough intercessors and lieutenants. Alright, Space Wolves. Once wearing pelts and fighting with axes on huge wolves, now being anti-psychers apparently with no Viking elements to speak of. Jokes aside though, this box is way better when it comes to savings. Turns out an Invictor Tactical Warsuit is more expensive than an Apothecary. In numbers, we are talking 29%. That's still below average, but leaks better than the 20 from the Deathwatch box. Other than that though, I'm not a big fan of this box. Reavers are just not a great unit, and yeah, even for Space Wolves, it's a little bit better, but not by much. They look cool though. The Lieutenant is rather Space Wolf specific and would need conversion work for other chapters, and the Invictor Tactical Warsuit is extremely situational, and you really have to like the model, because not everyone is a fan of baby carriers basically. The only constantly good unit here are the intercessors, and they are not good for melee chapters, so yeah. As with the Deathwatch box, if you are a Space Wolves player, the savings go way above average, but the overall composition of the box is just not great, especially not for a melee chapter. For veteran Space Marine players, this box has 2 big hindrances. The Lieutenant, which is which just doesn't fit out of the box into any other chapter, and the intercessors. While I think intercessors are somewhat manageable unless you have like 40 of them already, you don't really need more than 2 or 3 lieutenants. And new Space Marine players, there are just better options for you, with a better army composition and better savings. So this is basically a toss-up between Deathwatch and Space Wolves at the bottom. I put Deathwatch ahead of the Space Wolves, but really not by much. Anyway, let's talk the Blood Angels Combat Patrol. Alright, now we are talking. This box is one of the star collectings that has only one major downside, and that is that it plays terribly at 500 points. Other than that, this box is probably the best one. The savings here are 35% without upgrade sprues, which is amazing. The Impulsor carries this like by a lot. Impulsors are very expensive on their own. The units are diverse and generally useful. Only the aggressors have fallen off, as I already said. There is not really much more to add here. You are getting a box full of great units with huge savings, and fixing the problem of the composition is rather easy. All you need is to stick a melee unit into the Impulsor and you are good. If you play Blood Angels or plan on playing Blood Angels, I'd highly advise to get this box unless you have enough models of the units contained in this box. But we are talking about a 47% savings if you are interested in the upgrade sprues as well. So that's like a huge jump. As for new players looking to play other chapters, this box is probably still one of the best ones to start with. I'm a huge fan of this box and I'd easily place it at the very top. Lastly, we have the Dark Angel Star Collecting, and this one is a little bit different. Many comments I read were saying this box is the best Combat Patrol box by far. And they are not wrong, but it depends on the context, of course. The part which makes this box the best one is that it has 2 highly popular competitive units with the Inceptors and the Redemptor Dreadnought, and an evergreen unit with the Intercessors. It's just a good all-around box. It even plays well at 500 points. The biggest problems here are the savings and a little bit the upgrade path, since that one is very complicated, especially for new players. The savings are around 22% without the upgrade sprues, and that's pretty bad. As we already said with the Deathwatch, they are pretty similar. Luckily, you will have use for all the units except maybe the Chaplain, depending on your army setup and list. So this box will probably be worth its price, especially if you plan on playing them as Dark Angels, in which case this box is pretty much perfect. When it comes to expanding this list, you'll have quite a few things to think of and consider when going for the competitive route. Deathwing are extremely popular right now. Ravenwing are also very useful in controlling the battlefield. And yeah, and that probably won't change for a while. So you have to consider which route you want to go first. And yeah, if you want to go pure value though, the best way is to split the Elite Edition starter set with a friend and have some Outriders and yeah, basically have Ravenwing for £32. That would be amazing. And that would be probably my preferred way to upgrade this Combat Patrol. Generally speaking, this box has a very unique appeal for anyone not wanting to play Dark Angels in particular because of its competitive spin, which is cool. I placed it in the middle and put it probably on second place. The Vanguard Star Collecting is very specific in a very different manner, and I happen to prefer the Dark Angels box more in that regard. If you play any chapter other than Dark Angels, you can safely consider this box if you're interested in playing most of the units, ideally all of them, in your list. As for veteran Dark Angels players, this is a solid pickup to expand your army with lots of spare Dark Angels shoulder pads included. Alright, so these are my rankings. On first place we have the Blood Angels, second place Dark Angels, on third place we have the Vanguard Star Collecting, fourth is Deathwatch, and fifth is the Space Wolves Combat Patrol. But there are also the Recruit and Elite starter sets. To make this short, if you are able to split both the Recruit and the Elite Edition with a friend or sell the Necron half, I consider this the optimal start for a new Space Marines player. You'll be saving roughly around 61%. One last thing, if you want a big Space Marines army with huge savings, here's an idea. If you get the 2 halves of the Recruit and Elite Edition and then grab a Blood Angels and Dark Angels Combat Patrol, you'll have an amazing variety of models. You'll have 4 entirely different HQs, 10 Intercessors, 10 Assault Intercessors, 5 Incursors or Infiltrators, 3 Outriders, 3 Aggressors, a Redemptor Dreadnought and an Impulsor. If you are not competitive and want to save money while having an amazing variety of models, this is probably the way to go. I'd recommend this as a new player actually, but take it slow. Don't buy all of it at once. Alright, I hope this video could give you a rough overview of the current ways you can start or expand your Space Marines force. Consider subscribing, giving a thumbs up, or consider supporting me on Ko-Fi. Thanks, and I see you in the next video. Bye bye.